I would like to call the meeting to order of the UDC. It's 6:30 on January 13, 2016. First, we need to start with the roll call, please.
Mr. Sawhill?
Here.
Ms. Sullivan?
Here.
Mr. Winchester?
Here.
Ms. Ream? Here. Mr. Condon?
Here.
Mr. Leonetti?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Ms. Morse? Thank you.
Next in the agenda, we have the minutes. Can we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from November 18, 2015 and December 9, 2015? We have a motion for approval by Commissioner Sawhill and a second by Commissioner Miller. Are there any objections? Minutes are approved. Next, we are moving to disclosures. Do we have any disclosures for this meeting? Commissioner Ed Leonetti.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For case number 20150114, I have a conflict of interest and would like to be excused from the case.
Can we get a motion to direct Commissioner Ed to participate? He can what? Yeah. Again, can I get a motion, please? We have a motion by Commissioner Miller and a second by Commissioner Sawhill. Commissioner Miller, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you. For case 2015-0114, I would like to move to excuse Commissioner Leonetti. And I'm just kind of curious as to what the conflict would be.
I participated in a project, so I have a financial gain in the matter.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Sawhill, nothing? Okay, the wish of the commission is to excuse Commissioner...
Madam Chair,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
so if we vote yes, we're directing him, or if we vote no, we're directing him? I'm a little confused.
His motion was done to
Excuse him.
him.
Okay, so a yes vote excuses him. Okay, thank you.
The wish of the commission is to recuse Commissioner Jerry is missing and voting.
Vote yes.
Thank you. Okay. The wish of the commission is to excuse Commissioner Leonetti to participate in case 2015-0114. Do we have any more disclosures? Commissioner Winchester, do you have any disclosures?
Yes, Madam Chair. I was absent from the meeting related to Resolution 2015-018.
Can I get a motion to excuse Commissioner Winchester to participate? Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Morse and a second by Commissioner Rem. Commissioner Morse, would you like to speak to your motion?
No.
Commissioner Rem, would you like to speak to your second?
I support recusing him from, or keeping him from voting on the...
Okay. We start voting.
That's not what it says here, but okay.
I'm not going to tell you the truth right now.
That sounds fun.
We'll talk to Lorraine tomorrow.
Okay, the wish of the commission is to excuse Commissioner Winchester to participate in case 2015-018. Do we have any more disclosures? Commissioner Morse?
I was not yet seated for cases 2015-008 and 2015-0112, so I would like to be excused from voting.
Thank you. Commissioner Morris, you're excused for participating, so you wasn't here. I would like to disclose that I was absent in the case 2015-020, and I would like to be excused from the case. I need a motion. We have a motion by Commissioner Winchester and a second by Commissioner Miller. Would you like to speak to your motion, Commissioner Winchester?
A note, just we'll have you recused from voting on that.
Second, would you like to say anything?
No, thanks.
Okay, we start voting. Okay, the wish of the commission is that I'm excused for participating in case 2015-020.
Sherry, push your button. Nicole, push your button.
Okay, now we move to the next item. That's the consent agenda.
I also have a disclosure.
Oh, there you go. You're not here. Okay.
Yeah, for case 2015-0088, I was recused, so I'll be abstaining from that.
018? 0088. Okay, can we have a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes?
Madam Chair, a point of order. For those people who were absent from a meeting or already, well, let's say you were recused, Mr. Miller, you were recused for a conflict of interest, and so you're asking, oh no, that's proper. That's proper. I withdraw my
Okay.
comment. Sorry.
Okay, perfect. So, Commissioner Miller, you are excused from participating in case 2015-088. Now we move to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? We have Resolution 2015-018, related case 2015-088, and Resolution 2015-020, related case 2015-0112. We have a motion by Commissioner Sawhill, and we have a second by Commissioner Rem. Commissioner Sawhill, would you like to speak to your motion?
Madam Chair, I intend to support the motion, and I'm not intending to pull any of the cases from the consent agenda.
And okay, so we have a motion to approve the consent agenda by Sawhill, and we did have a second by Nicole. Do you want to speak to your motion? No? Okay. If there's any objections, anything? Nothing? Okay, then we approve the consent agenda. And we can start voting.
Ms. Chair, if I'm just going to make a unanimous vote, and I'll fix all the votes, because there were several recusing and abstaining, so I can fix the votes in the minutes, okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. Okay, we move to the next item. So the consent agenda is approved, and we're moving on. We have one item in our regular agenda. We have case 2016-0006, context-sensitive solution transportation project site plan review for Eckloff Drive improvements in Gearwood. Do we have a staff report?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the plans in hand, design drawings review of Eckloff Drive. This is the third and final step in the road design review for context-sensitive solutions. The format of the staff memo may look a little bit different than what you're accustomed to, because this is the first road review that has come to the Commission under the new code. And so the standards of approval are different. So if there was any confusion about why we didn't address some of the other standards, it's because that was those were for the old Title 21. The department finds that the road design complies with Title 21 and the comprehensive plans for this area. The project complies with Chapter 9 of the, Chapter 9 is the Girdwood Land Use Regulations. It also, the project complies with the Girdwood Area Plan, Girdwood Commercial Areas and Transportation Master Plan, and the Girdwood South Town Site Area Master Plan. In terms of the impact of the project, Eckloff Drive is a dirt road with no painted traffic markings or posted speed limit. There's no curb and gutter, no pedestrian facilities, or street lighting. Eckloff Drive serves a number of important community buildings: the Girdwood Library and Community Center, the Girdwood Volunteer Fire Station, Little Bears Playhouse, Glacier City Hall, several parks and recreational areas. This road project will improve access to many of those things, and also to future lands that are not yet developed further down the road. The project adheres to the design theme through the already established in the local plans and prior public improvements. That is, Eckloff Drive continues the road theme that was started on Hightower Road on the same alignment on the other side of the Alyeska Highway. This project achieves the community design goals. This has been a true context-sensitive solutions road project that's been responsive to public input. They've had several meetings with Girdwood Board of Supervisors and important stakeholders. They've had good public process for this road project. It's really a positive. And as far as accommodating pedestrians and non-motorized users, this project takes into account pedestrians. On the west side of the street is a proposed 7-foot wide attached sidewalk with a type 1 barrier curb. That's not a 5-foot sidewalk, but a 7-foot sidewalk. And then on the other side of the street, on the outside of the street, the east side, there's an 8-foot wide multi-use paved pathway, which is separated from the roadway. And that's the one abutting or nearest to Glacier Creek. The plans in hand, road design that we have before us comply with the conditions of approval after Planning and Zoning Commission's approval of the design study report. Therefore, the department's recommending approval of this project with no conditions of approval. Be happy to answer any questions. And I was just trying to attempt to do a brief overview, because I think the project team will have more to say about the project. Thank you.
There's any questions to staff? No questions? I have a fast question. Just with the parking, it seems like when I visit the library in Gearwood, there's some issues with parking, and now it's being changed to the front. There's like, how did the parking got handled? I mean, because we are displacing and placing, but I didn't read anything about the parking.
Thank you. There is some on-street parking, but I think I'll defer to the applicant to describe their choices on parking.
On how it's working.
That was one of the issues that they had to work through. Oftentimes, when a road improvement project happens, it will eliminate some parking spaces that were sort of, social parking spaces or whatever it was. I'm trying to think of the right term, but they're not legal. They wouldn't meet any parking standard. This is a collector street, and the people pulling from a property, parking is not supposed to back out onto a collector street, and it's a public safety issue. Someday in the future, we expect higher traffic volumes. So the perpendicular parking that exists in front of the library now does go away. There's been an attempt to provide parallel parking on the street, which is appropriate. Not so appropriate for a collector street in general, but in this Girdwood context, in the uniqueness of Girdwood in this small area, it seems makes sense. It's needed, and it's valuable at sort of giving pedestrians sort of a sense of security with parallel parking, protecting them from streets. But yeah, so with that, I'll just leave it to the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions for staff? No? Okay, do we have a petitioner? Can you please state your name for the record?
My name is Michelle Ritter. I'm with Dow. Also with me is Chris Wood. He's the project engineer, and Todd Jacobson with the Butte Company, who is the MOA project manager. So to kind of summarize, Francis did a really good job of kind of giving the highlights of the projects. So the project area is in the Girdwood Southtown site. So it's on the south side of Alyeska, basically from Alyeska Highway to the second driveway of the community council. The community center. And that's where paving will start. And then if you see in this brown area, it will be kind of graded out to blend in with the existing roadway, to kind of blend in with the drainage and kind of fix that. We will also be providing basically drawings so that if the Girdwood Board of Supervisors had enough money and were able to find additional funding, that they could pave the rest of the roadway to Coriolis. So whereas the Northtown site, which is everything north of Alyeska, it's kind of the commercial district, that's where the Mercantile is, and Chair 5 and everything that we kind of know Girdwood when we go down there. The Southtown site is the civic and recreational use kind of area. So there's a lot of trailheads, there's softball fields, tennis courts, the Little Bears Child Care Center. All of the land that's adjacent to the project area is owned by the municipality, primarily by the Heritage Land Bank. Also, the first 4 parcels coming in off of Alyeska Highway are actually Parks and Rec. It's the Lions Club park area. And then MOA, Fire, and I think maybe even HLB manage the rest. So the project will upgrade the road to collector standards, so kind of going from a 60-foot wide right-of-way that's unpaved with no designated pedestrian way or lighting. It'll be a 80-foot paved right-of-way with lighting, pedestrian amenities, and landscaping. Somewhat minimal landscaping than you typically see, but that was the desire of the community. The area is heavily vegetated. I mean, everything east of the project is unvegetated, and due to the flood zone, various DNR patents because of streamways. The development is really restricted on this side, so it really kind of fits the content. To kind of clarify on the parking, perpendicular parking is actually prohibited on collectors, so we had to do parallel. One of the projects that's also occurring is that the fire station is updating their site plan. Part of those improvements include them providing the parking that they require on the site. So there's going to be drastic changes to that site that will accommodate some of that parking issue. We could not provide parallel parking on the west side because of the curve. I mean, pretty much every way that you looked at it, there was a blind spot. So we were kind of restricted, so we tried to provide as much parking as we could without creating an unsafe situation. Overall, the project goals, in addition to upgrading the street to collector standards, was to just reduce the cost of maintenance through improved drainage, increase vehicular and pedestrian safety and access, and coordinating with the adjacent projects, so the fire station, as well as some of the improvements that DOT is currently doing, or will be doing this summer along the Alyeska Highway. The project is funded by a $2.1 million state grant, and this was heavily supported by the Gerwood community. If you look in our application submittal, you're going to see quite a few letters of support for this project. The total project cost at the time that we completed our plans in hands report was estimated at about $2.3 million. That's since been cut down to $2.1, and $33,000 of that is for landscaping. We do believe that the long-term maintenance and operation costs are going to be greatly reduced once this is completed. Summer grading, dust control, and repair work related to poor drainage will no longer be required. And additionally, in the winter, they won't have to sand as much. These cost reductions are things that they're already seeing realized associated with the Northtown site project. We've had 3 public presentations to the Gerwood Board of Supervisor and to the Gerwood Land Use Committee. They kind of act as the super community council for the area. We also had 2 public meetings outside of those regular scheduled meetings and a site walk. We've had several meetings throughout the life of the project with various MOA groups or the Municipality of Anchorage, but planning, traffic, Heritage Land Bank, the flood hazard permitting folks. Our most recent public meeting was held in December so that we could discuss 65% design. At that time, we were proposing, kind of recognizing that this did have minimal landscaping. We wanted to look at some other improvements that we could provide to the community that were sensitive to the context. So we'd actually looked at providing stairs on the west side of the road coming in off of Alyeska. If there was funding available, and it had been covered stairways. When the community saw this, it wasn't a high priority on their list. Instead, what they asked us to do is, as part of the fire station project, so it's kind of odd, but this is actually the front of the fire station. When you come through this driveway, that project will be paving a portion of the driveway. They've asked us to, if there's funding available, to just finish the paving from where the fire station project stops to the second driveway. So we would make that change. And we've also proposed to put lights on the north side of Alyeska Highway to better light that intersection. So part of what the DOT will be doing is kind of paring down and kind of skinning up at that intersection, and they'll be striping both of the walkways. And so we felt that the best impact that we could do to really support the mission of increasing safety is providing lightings on the other side. So with that, we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Do we have any questions to the petitioner? Commissioner Ram?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this question is more of a curiosity question. I'm in support of this project. I have been out there several times for community council meetings. I had a project in Girdwood years back, and it was always something that was the bane of the Girdwood residents, that they didn't have this nice corridor to get to their civic areas. But one thing I wanted to ask is about this floodway. Is part of this cost include any remapping of the floodway because of the change in elevation of the road?
No, we're working around that so that we're not changing the elevation, so that we will not trigger having to do any letters of map revision. We will have to get a flood hazard permit, but that will, as long as this project gets permitted prior to the federal regulations being changed, we will not have to get a letter of map revision.
Okay, and the only reason why I ask is when I was looking at the profile, it seemed that the existing versus the finished were quite different. But it's not pertaining to our purview. I was just curious.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it's a good case packet. It looked nice drawings and easy to read. I do have some concerns about two things. One is the parking, and two is the landscaping.
Okay.
I think that the project is really good and it's helping the community in building this corridor. But the irony is that the things that make it an actual corridor are not included in the project. Like, yes, it has 2 sidewalks. That is really good. That is really helpful. But the pedestrian scale lighting that was talked about at Planning and Zoning Commission was apparently resolved with traffic. However, there was no discussion on how it was resolved, and traffic didn't comment on it again. So I'd like to hear how that is being resolved. And then the landscaping, you have an 80-foot wide right-of-way, and you're spending $33,000 on topsoil and seed. And the government or the community doesn't really want it. They want to pave the fire lane around the buildings.
Correct.
So the question on that is, are we using public funds to pave private property? And that doesn't quite seem right.
That's not private property. That's public property. That's owned by the municipality of Anchorage.
So we're using state money to pave city property. And if that was in with the grant and everything, that seems a little bit not above board. So,
well, the Egloff Drive is a municipal road, so everything that's being paved is municipal property. Okay. And part of it is improving the drainage of the area, and having that completely paved will be a step towards that, improving the drainage, even if it's in the front.
the road, yeah.
But even the driveway, because I mean, it's providing a better, well-maintained driveway to access the Egloff Drive.
Okay. So what about the lighting and the landscape?
So the landscaping, that didn't, I just want to clarify that when we were hearing, there was not a huge desire to have a lot of landscaping. That didn't come as either landscape or pave. It was, we were hearing that from when we went out and started just presenting the concept of the idea is that, I mean, I think one person, I don't know if this is an exact quote, but basically said, look, we have tons of landscaping. I mean, they see it as an already naturally vegetated area, and they would rather see more money going to the paving and getting more road than to actually just seeing a bunch of plantings for the sake of having plantings. So I just wanted to clarify that point. As far as the lighting, there will be lighting on the west side of the right-of-way. We've had them spaced sufficiently enough and have been able to prove that all except for one area, that it will provide the required lighting standards for that separated trail on the east side. So it was a balance of, another thing we heard is that they like their dark skies and they didn't want to see all these different levels of lighting. But the traffic engineer was fine with what we were providing as far as enough lighting levels.
What are you providing? How tall are the light poles?
I think are they 35? 25, I'm sorry. 25.
So the standard roadway illumination?
Yes.
Okay. And then the parking.
The parking, we understand, when we go out there, we realize kind of how everybody's parking. There was a lot there.
I should clarify my question. Why is it on, what part of the site triangle? Here's the other irony. Excuse me. You have all of your infrastructure for buildings on the inside of the curve.
Correct.
You park all of the cars on the outside of the curve. So now people are parking on the outside, they're getting out of the car, and they're probably not going to walk down the trail. They're going to cross the road to go into the building. So that's what I'm curious about, why and what the thought process was and how that was resolved, the pedestrian vehicle conflict was resolved.
So one of the ways that we did it is we kind of narrowed up at Alyeska so that we didn't have this superhighway, because we were trying to balance a lot of things. One, we can't provide perpendicular parking.
Agreed.
We can't, you really can't have, because of that curve, we were limited. We really couldn't have parking there.
But what are the cars looking at for that curve? Are they looking at the cars coming out of the driveway for the parking for both facilities, or what is the view shed that it's blocking?
I believe just maneuverability
Maneuvering of
the car that's moving out of the parking space.
So cars on the road aren't able to see cars maneuvering out of the parking space.
I'm looking at the engineer to see if he doesn't have. So it's actually, I'm sorry, it's more for the people coming out of the driveways. So he's saying that there's the two driveways, so as they're maneuvering out.
So the road dead ends, right? Doesn't the road stop?
Well, it's a dirt road to Coriolis at this point.
Okay. So cars that are turning right out of the driveway cannot see, in theory, cars coming down the road if the cars are parked on the west side of the road.
And there's also the baseball fields over here, and there's a big parking lot, so there's traffic coming out of here. You can't see it in this aerial, but there is baseball fields here, and it's very active. I believe it's where the Little League and other teams are playing.
Okay, so do you guys have a concern with pedestrians crossing the road?
We don't, I mean, they're pretty much doing that now. That's why we've kind of tried to narrow down the road. I mean, one of the concerns was that if we had the parallel parking spaces all the way to Coriolis, that we would kind of create this, big airplane path where when it was not parked, when there's no cars parked there, it'd be this wide swath. So we tried to, as a traffic calming method, we have narrowed down at Alyeska so that so you get that sense that you're in a more neighborhood type of a road, and then kind of have the vegetated swells. And separated pathways. So there's a 3 foot, I think 3 feet on this side that's separating you from the traffic so that you have enough room to open your car door, kind of get out there, look both ways before running across the street.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Miller?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I have just a couple of questions on the drainage swales that you have on sheet 9, and I don't know if this is to scale, but you have the drainage swales going into the top of the bank, that dashed line, top of bank line, and I didn't see any details for that transition, and I'm just wondering how that looks, if there's a risk of drainage cutting back the bank, and then also whether velocity dissipation would be helpful or required.
I'm going to defer to the traffic engineer for that question.
Sure. Thanks.
You got to come on. Yes.
Let's see, where are we talking about?
Can you please state your name for the record?
Sure. My name is Chris Wood with Dowell. I'm the design engineer.
Thank you.
Is this what we're referring to here?
Yeah, I'm looking at sheet 9 on your plan set. But yeah, I think I see one there. I don't see the second one on there.
Okay, we've made a change in the proposed drainage and how there's only going to be one outfall.
Okay.
And we're also having a detention basin on the west side of the road
Okay.
before it discharges.
And how far from the Glacier Creek does it discharge?
Currently, it's about 98 feet.
Okay, so it's not it doesn't come into the bank of the creek.
No, I think where it was more of a concern was this other outfall up here.
Yeah.
And there will be outlet protection, there'll be riprap. As far as flow dissipator, that's something we're still looking into, whether that would be required. But we are definitely going to protect the outlet.
Okay, and then the second item that I was curious about, and you guys are still probably figuring this out, but where the pipe daylights into that drainage swale, is that part of the drainage ditch? And the reason I ask is that it says that the drainage ditch will be used for snow storage, and the concern is that if that glaciates over, it'll block that discharge pipe.
Okay, are we referring to the field inlets that are shown?
No, that same drainage swale that we're talking about. Yep, right there.
Here, okay.
That's right. And maybe I'm not understanding the plans right, but is there snow storage in those ditches?
I mean, that's its intended use, as well as the pathway on the east side in the wintertime. We were told that by the community that would have very little use, and so they plan on using that entire area for snow storage on the east side.
Okay.
It'll be concentrated up towards Alyeska, the snow storage well.
Okay.
So when that pipe daylights, that's right there.
Okay.
Is there a ditch on that side of the road? Parallel to the road?
On this side?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, thanks. I was just, the concern is, like I said, if you dump a bunch of snow on there all winter, and then it freezes up, turns to ice, rain on snow event, you're probably going to have some flooding problems. So.
Right.
All right, thanks.
We have a question from the staff. Francis, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment on the discussion. So from the planning department staff point of view, when we met with the project team some months ago to discuss the project, the issue of, one of the agencies there were the people who plow the roads in Girdwood, and they were there at the meeting with us. First time it's not very often that we have road maintenance people at a meeting like this, and what the chief said to us was that the drainage swale on the east side of the road that you can see on pages 9 and 10 of your plan and profile sheets, that drainage swale that separates the road from the separated multi-use pathway was going to be used for snow storage, and that was, because they get quite a bit of snow there in a typical year, although not the last 3 years. So that was going to be really helpful for ease of snow maintenance, and it wouldn't be appropriate to, of course, place any landscaping in those two long drainage swales, because that's going to be a place where snow is going to be pushed. They hope to be able to do it easily and move to other parts of town. And then in terms of parking, I was just at the community center and library recently, and there's sort of two main entrances, and I think most people use just one side. There are two entrances to the building, and the one on the back side of the building, there's a parking area there. So I don't know if that's going to, if it'll be an educational process to get people to park in the parking lot behind the building. Parking is going away on the road side of the building, but there's parking on the other side. There's a limit to how much, it seems to me, I'm not a road engineer, but it seems to me there's a limit to how much on-street parking that could be provided because this is around a curvilinear road. Those are just a couple of thoughts.
Does it's enough parking in the back for the library, just for the library?
For the regular use of the library, yes. The fire station does have, I think, a regular training where all of the volunteers come. But as part of, and so at that time, the parking for the library gets stressed out. But as I mentioned earlier, the improvements of the fire station include providing parking for their highest use time. So that will eliminate that. So they shouldn't be seeing the stress as it currently operates today. And another thing that they've done is the library is closed on Mondays. And so the fire station tries to have any of their trainings or events that are going to draw a large crowd on Mondays to kind of offset that. I also just want to clarify one thing. I don't know if it was clarified, but a lot of the snow storage is going to be more towards the Alyeska side. So they're going to try to, the idea was to keep it up here and not towards the drainage, those outlets, so that you wouldn't have the glaciation problem.
Commissioner Winchester?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to really commend you on what I think is a really difficult project in probably one of the most difficult sites I know of that we have in the municipality of Anchorage, which is Girdwood, and right along that particular river there that is never very friendly for any kind of development. And I think you've done a great job of accommodating the best you can all the various factors here in what was a dirt road built 20, 30 years ago and now needing improvement. I think the library situation is well satisfied with the parking lot behind. I've been there. I think that the parking on the street is the best you can do with what you've got. And the trail and the way you've looked at trying to get the snow off onto the east side, I think is working very well. So the only question I had was related to the driveways. They basically, as I see it now, they're just dumping in somewhat gravel areas and some paved areas. I mean, they're kind of a mix. Is that correct? The three different driveways you're doing. I mean, are those going into paved parking lots or are those going into gravel?
So I think you're talking about
the three entrances that you do.
So this is a gravel. This is
right.
Going into a gravel.
Okay.
And these two, this one will be paved.
Okay.
As part of the fire station.
As part of the fire station.
It's
okay.
An improvement project. If there's enough funding and we can continue that paving, then this third one will be dumping into a paved area. Otherwise, it will be graded in and then attaching into a dirt driveway.
Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that so I understand what additional things you're trying to do there. And I think that's the best, like you said, the best use of the funds. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that people weren't really pushing for, and I mean, I love landscaping, but Girdwood is a forest already. And that they really tried to solve this problem, which is a real problem. So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Ritter, are you asking for a condition to approve the driveway around back, or are you just making it a fact that that's going to happen?
We were advising you that was one of the requested changes. If the commission felt that they did not support that, then that would be fine. I mean, we're not telling you we're doing it. We were advising you that's what we've heard, and so that was the change that we had anticipated making. So if the commission doesn't support that, then that's how the commission will support approving the project.
Okay. Yep, thanks.
I have a really fast question, and we are done. You have a package, and in page number 3, you're showing Gearwood South Townside Phase 1 and Phase 2 development. Seems like Egloff Drive was apparently going to continue so it can catch up with Carolius Drive, but then the project is being stopped before.
So there, and that probably should have said study area. So when we started this project, the initial study area was from Alyeska Highway to Carolius Drive. As we've gotten into the designing of the project, essentially there's enough funding to develop the improvements that the community wants to the second driveway. So even though the whole thing was studied, this is where the actual project will stop. But that is why we've also are kind of working with the Board of Supervisors that we will supply them with the grading points so that if there is available funding to them in the future, that they can continue the development of that road. So we're not just going to leave them hanging and say this is where we can stop the project. So setting them up for a future phase.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any additional questions? No? Can we get a motion to approve? We have a motion by Nicole Rem, and we have a second by Commissioner Miller. Commissioner Rem, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. For case, I move to approve case 2016-0006, Context-Sensitive Solutions Transportation Project Site Plan Review. Plans in hand for Egloff Drive improvements based on the plans dated November 12, 2015 on file with the Planning Department.
Will you like to speak to your...
Do I do that now or does... Okay. Yes, I intend to support the motion, and I'll speak to the findings after we make sure everybody is in support.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Miller, would you like to talk to your second?
Yes, thank you. I intend to support the motion. I think you guys did a nice job presenting the project, and I think it looks pretty good. Thanks.
Any additional discussion?
I would like to just state some findings of facts for the project. The project complies with Title 21 and the comprehensive plans. The project also complies with the Chapter 9 Girdwood Land Use Regulations, and it complies with, I cannot restate this, but Francis stated earlier, all the Girdwood master plans. So, thank you.
Okay, now we can start voting. Okay, the case is approved. Thank you. Commissioner Leonetti, anything you have to say?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was going to add findings of facts, but I missed my turn. Thank you.
We are moving into public hearing. The procedure by which the public may speak to the Urban Design Commission at its meeting is, after the staff presentation is completed on public hearings items, the chair will ask for public testimony on the issue. Persons who wish to testify will follow the time limit established in the Urban Design Commission Rules of Procedures. Petitioners, including all her representatives, 10 minutes. Rebuttal time by the petitioner might be allowed when time has been reserved. Representatives of groups, 5 minutes. Individuals, 3 minutes. When your testimony is complete, you may be asked questions by the commission. You may only testify once on any issue unless questioned by the commissioners. An individual may have appeal rights relating to any action the Urban Design Commission takes, except commission recommendations to the Assembly which are not appealable. Appeals must be filed with the clerk's office within 20 days after approval by the Urban Design Commission of the resolution, which is the Commission's final decision. A fee for the appeal is required at the time of filing. So we have case 2015-0114, Cooking. Actually, I need a motion to postpone case 2015-0114, Cook Inlet Housing Corporation Major Site Plan Review for Alaska Village Senior Housing Project. Please. We get a motion to postpone by Commissioner Winchester and a second by Commissioner Morse. No objections? Okay, perfect. So case 2016-0006 being postponed for the month of March. Now we have case 2015-011. No, that's sorry. Our next case is 2016-0005. Our petitioner, Anchorage School District. It's a major site plan review for Gladys Wood Elementary School renewal project. Do we have a staff report, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. The school renewal project is intended to renovate the school to extend its useful life for another 10 years. Additions include a secure vestibule and adding adjacent space for administrative staff. 4 additional classrooms are also added. The scope of work includes both exterior and interior improvements. The site work is minimal and includes repaving and grading of the hardscape play area and maintenance areas, curb work to the visitor parking lot to replace damaged curbing and wheel stops, and removal and replacement of existing concrete landings to primary and secondary entrances. I'm assuming that you've all had a chance to look through the packet, and rather than go through each of the items, I'm going to skip to the last page of the staff report, page 8, and just focus on the conditions. Beginning with condition number 3, which is resolve the following with the Traffic Engineering Department. I want to make one change to that, and that's to 3A. It should read, if financially feasible, comma, a sidewalk meeting MOA standards, etc. I should back up and say that staff, as well as traffic engineering staff, have been working with the petitioner's representative, Stephanie Brown, on this project to try and resolve some of these conditions ahead of time and before coming before you tonight. So we have reached some agreement on some issues. And one that they had asked about, that they had requested, is my change of language to condition 3A that I just mentioned. What is being proposed is that if you look at the sheet that I handed out to you earlier, it's the, well, no, Stephanie, have you passed those out? Stephanie has some copies for you all. Okay. First up, I want to draw your attention to this one, which is the aerial photograph. And if you look at that, what has been worked out with the traffic department is that if you look at, you'll see the green line, and that's labeled 1, and then the yellow is 2, and then the light blue one is 3. These are going to be additive alternates. If it's possible, this is the order that they are going to provide sidewalks. Moving on to condition 4, move the relocatable nearest to West 69th Avenue out of the setback to a conforming location or establish non-conforming rights if applicable. In talking with Stephanie, the school district is planning to move the relocatable that's out of compliance. They're going to move it. The question is, I don't know where, so I'm hoping Stephanie can tell us where they plan to move it, and also if they have any plans to moving that second relocatable that was right along the West 69th Avenue. And then number 5 is provide L2 landscaping along the east property line. And I want to change the language to that because it's a little, it is confusing. Adjacent to the classroom additions, meaning they don't have to provide L2 landscaping along the entire east property line. It's just where they're making the change, where the classrooms are going to be located. And then number 6, if you look at the site plan that Stephanie passed out earlier, about the middle of the page, you'll see dumpster pad, compactor pad, and then service loading area, 30 feet by 10 feet. It's indicated here where their loading areas, which meets the code, so that condition can probably be deleted. And then number 7, the last sentence is cut off, and I want to add that language. It just ends. I don't know how that happened, but so that language will read, drainage analysis and design shall conform to the Municipality of Anchorage Design Criteria Manual, DCM, and the Drainage Design Guidelines, DDG. And then I'm going to add condition number 8, and that refers to the portion of the code, the language that I handed out before the meeting began. And if you look under 3 operational standards for all applicable uses, including existing uses and new development, this section is regarding snow storage, and they will have to meet A through E, and if they were to provide a statement to that effect, that would be fine, that they're aware of these conditions and intend to comply with them. The one that I'm most concerned about is 3A. Plowed snow shall not interfere with required pedestrian or vehicle circulation or site distance. The site plan shows their snow storage right where the driveways are on both 69th Avenue as well as Cranberry Street. They have a lot of snow storage there, and I'm concerned about the site distance there because, as we've all seen, if we have a heavy snow year, that snow pile gets higher and higher and higher, and I want to make sure that the width and height of it don't interfere with the site distance at those driveways. Yes, that's all I have.
So that will be condition 8 to comply with...
Yes, I've got a statement. I can just read it to you. Submit statement indicating that stored snow will comply with AMC 21.07.040 F.3 A through E.
So it's number 3A to E.
Yes, it's F.3.A through E. Or I could just say operational standards, 3 operational standards, but maybe A through E is a little clearer.
Thank you. Do we have any questions to the staff? Commissioner Leonetti?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sharon, Ms. Ferguson, what was the conclusion on the relocatables?
Other than, Stephanie had said that the school district plans to move the one that is out of compliance from that location, but the problem is I don't know where they plan to move it.
Okay.
And then I also want to know if they're also at the same time planning to move that second relocatable, and if so, where?
Okay, so that they will answer that when they...
Yes, I think when they first began this project, they were hoping that with the addition of the 4 classrooms, it would obviate the need for, the relocatables. If they build 4 new classrooms, they can get rid of the relocatables. But it looks like now they're going to have to still keep the relocatables.
Okay. One other question, and it pertains to 3A and B. The comment came from non-motorized transportation section of the municipality, and I'm curious...
No, it came from traffic engineering.
Okay, there was another comment by...
Yes, Lori, the non-motorized, was saying essentially the same thing, that the need for sidewalks it's needed here.
Right, and it's based on the safe routes to schools.
Yes.
I drove through the neighborhood recently, and it's an intriguing neighborhood, and the existing sidewalks, they make sense while they're there. And this configuration that you have, I'm just curious, or that somebody is suggesting, the green line is obviously coming from the neighborhood to the east.
Mm-hmm.
The blue, I'm not sure how that helps.
Yeah, it was, I think, just to have a continuous sidewalk along that side.
For what reason, though?
You're right, they may, either pedestrians are going to come from either the east or the west, but, we are always looking to have continuous sidewalks if we can get that.
Right. And so this subdivision was developed, I don't know, in the 70s, 80s, with limited sidewalks. And some of it has sidewalks, some of it doesn't. It's kind of a mishmash. And so I guess the question is there additional funding by the Safe Routes to Schools to pay for this?
I couldn't answer that question. I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with that program.
And the other question is, this is the second time, perhaps in the 2 months, that the Safe Routes to Schools has come up, and it's been kind of injected into a project that seems like midstream into a project. I completely support Safe Routes to Schools. I'm just curious how these programs are funded, and besides just attaching themselves to a project whenever something rolls through the city. Because it seems like it's a burden to a project that wasn't planning on it when something, site design 10 years ago didn't bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
Project didn't bring it up 30 years ago when it was built, so...
I think the community is maturing, and the need for sidewalks is becoming more and more apparent. And so traffic is asking the schools to provide sidewalks that serve their facilities.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Similar question regarding the parking or the sidewalks. Specifically with the green sidewalk that you have. Is that all on school property?
Yes, I believe it is. No, Stephanie is saying it's in the right of way then? Okay.
So I guess my question would be, why is it the school's responsibility to pay for a sidewalk that's not on their property?
Pretty much what I said to Ed earlier is that the traffic, the municipality doesn't have any more funding available to put in sidewalks on streets, than the school district has. And it's getting to the point where the city wants the school district to step up and provide sidewalks that service their facilities.
Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Ram?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I need help with clarification of code. So the 2105, I don't even want to go there. The landscaping, 2105-040-E3B8, says landscaping, L1 visual enhancement landscaping is required along all property lines where the school site abuts a residential use in a residential zone. Okay. Then you go to the table that shows landscaping requirements with proposed improvements versus abutting property, and it says for across the board, for PLI abutting a residential, which typically schools are in a PLI, it says L2 is perimeter landscaping. So can you help me?
So you're saying the difference between, what is it, the L1 and the L2?
So visual landscaping is required according to the code, and then the table requires buffer.
Right. It's two different types. There's perimeter, which is the L1. Hang on just a second. Let me flip to that section.
Ms. Ferguson, if I could chime in real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Are you referring to the requirement that is on there for the condition?
No, I'm referring to, so when looking through the code to make sure that it meets the conditions for an educational facility, under the landscaping code, it says to use visual enhancement between properties, abutting properties. But when you go to the table for the landscaping table for a PLI abutting a residential property, it says buffer. You can't have both. And they're both perimeter landscaping in my mind. So I'm just trying to clarify what.
Yeah, so it's kind of it's a somewhat, for this case, it's kind of irrelevant because it is an existing condition, but perimeter landscaping applies, and then if there's parking lot landscaping adjacent to residential, then parking lot landscaping is usually the L1, and sometimes it's L2, but if it's perimeter PLI against R2, it's always, since it's different land use, then it's a higher.
You said parking lot landscaping is L1?
Yeah.
This says is required along all property lines where the school site abuts the use is L1. All property lines, not just between a parking lot and
So there's also a clause up front that talks about the more stringent override. So then if if there's PLI against PLI, or if it's PLI and R2 or 4 or whatever, then the higher would override. We can talk about it after the meeting.
Thank you. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just so long as there's some reasoning.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ed.
Yep.
Any additional questions to staff? No? Do we have a petitioner? Can you please state your name for the record?
I'm Michael Carlson, the principal architect with McCool Carlson Green. We have Stephanie Brown from Corvus, our landscape architect, and Yuki Jansen, the project manager from ASD here tonight, and to answer your questions. Sharon's done a pretty good job of kind of summarizing, so I'll just give you a kind of an overview or maybe a little different perspective. The project, as Sharon mentioned, the site was redone in 2004 to contemporary ASD standards. They increased the parking, they added the bus loop, and it's really configured the way the school district configures their schools today. So they really kind of took care of it. And operationally, the school district's pretty happy with the way it's working. As Sharon mentioned, our site improvements are limited to kind of repairing some damage that was created by snow plowing. And then reconfiguring or repaving the play areas in the back that we need to, because of the addition, get somewhat impacted. So the siding's fairly limited, and we're addressing some drainage issues in terms of storm drainage and roof drainage. Some of the roof drains just dump out on the ground. We're going to take them into the storm drain to help them solve some of the drainage issues, because it's a pretty flat site. So the real focus of this project has been fixing the inside of the building, which Gladys Wood is one of the most dysfunctional elementary schools that the school district has right now. They've been fixing them. It's an open school, but it's really a poorly done open school. The worst part of it is that kids actually have to walk through one classroom to get to another classroom now, the way I have it configured. And so in reconfiguring the interior to make more functional form, it's required us to add some space, so that's the reason we're adding 4 classrooms. We're not actually increasing the school population there, we're just reconfiguring to really make it work for them. And the exterior of the building's really durable materials, the exposed aggregate concrete panels and the white painted concrete, and we're going to just continue that. Add a little accent of green on the parapets where we're doing some roof improvements and around the entryway. And this project is being done through a construction management process. The school district has selected Cornerstone to do the work, and we'll be working with them. So the cost process is a little bit different. It's going to be a collaborative, negotiated process with Cornerstone. The school district always looking to maximize the value of the money they're spending, and they'll undoubtedly spend every dollar that's been allocated by the voters for this project to do as much as we can for this school. And the sidewalk improvements will be kind of on that list as well. So through the process of negotiating with Cornerstone, the construction process, recovering contingency, the school district will add value to this project as we go. And so that's kind of the process of where the sidewalks will factor in. And so we appreciate the staff language of financially feasible, because that gives the school district the flexibility to structure their priorities and kind of work towards those. They've had a real good record of adding most of the things off their needs list on all these projects. So we're pretty hopeful that we'll be able to build at least a couple of those sidewalks, and the most important ones that traffic's asking for. We don't, with the amended conditions that Sharon's mentioned, we don't have any concerns complying with those, so we think it should work well. Stephanie, do you want to say something?
I guess I was going to address the relocatables. We are getting rid of this one here that's in the setback. The other one is, we're still trying to determine a good place, if there is another good place to put it. We are reserving some places for future relocatables over in this area over here. So it might end up there, but we're not sure of that quite yet.
Stephanie, can you state your name, please?
Yep, Stephanie Brown with Corvus Design.
Okay. So they will be removed from that corner?
The one definitely will be. Okay. The other one, we're still determining that.
Yes, we all recognize that that's a terrible first impression for the school. You approach the school, and the first thing you see are the little portables right there. So we are providing, as part of this project, we're providing the electrical infrastructure to put future relocatables in that location Stephanie mentioned. And as we get to the end of the project, depends on how much we can accomplish within the building and what the school population is whether or not we can move both of those portables off-site or whether we have to retain one. But for sure, our plan is to get rid of the non-conforming one, which is currently a music classroom. We're going to be moving the music classroom back into the building.
I guess we're just going to reserve the rest of the time for rebuttals.
Thank you. You'll have 4 minutes and 40 seconds for rebuttal time. Now we move to public hearing. I don't see anyone in the room. I think we could still. We have a question from Commissioner Condon.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just wondering about the hazardous materials in this project. You're using Cornerstone as a CM at risk. Has there been a determination as to how extensive the hazardous materials are? And I'm assuming this impacts the question of sidewalk feasibility. Is it a matter of opening the building up to determine, how extensive asbestos and lead paint contamination is?
We have done a survey. EHS did a survey. The school district has pretty good records in terms of what they've done and what they've seen. But as you alluded, when you get into renovations, sometimes you open up and you find some things. But we have done a survey and identified what we understand are the hazardous material issues, and the costs for those are kind of ground into the process. And I don't know, Yuki, do you have any more detailed information on that?
We are at 65% design, so we have a lot of, we are currently finished the 65% design, so we have a lot of the answers. We still have a little bit more design to go, but yes, we are aware of the abatement and the needs for that.
Yeah, can you please state your name for the record?
Yuki Johnson.
Thank you.
So are the sidewalks contingent upon the extent of the hazardous materials?
No, they're not. Obviously, the hazardous material, the school district will kind of prioritize the needs. Hazardous materials have to be taken care of, but they are part of the budgeting process. Because of the CM process, a lot of times when you award the contract, there's a substantial amount of contingency, and then as they buy the project out, you reduce that contingency, and then that gets rolled over into scope. And so it's not a either-or situation. But the hazardous materials will be a priority over the sidewalk because they'll just have to be done.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Winchester?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for clarifications, by the way, I think it's a great job, and you guys have done a great bit of work there to upgrade this sort of old school. Are you folks at this point, the changes to the conditions that Sharon brought forward, I just want to kind of hear, you're accepting all of those as she stated them? Is there any particular
That's correct. Actually, Sharon and Stephanie have done a really great job of talking to each other and coordinating it. And it's really a pleasure to come to this meeting and tell you that we're on the same page.
Yeah, okay. I just want to clarify that for the commissioners, for all of us, that you're on the same page and ready to, for instance, the snow removal stipulation seems to be no problem, et cetera. Okay, thank you. That was my, just clarify for the record. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any more questions for the petitioner? Thank you. Now we are up to public testimony. I don't see anyone, so do I still need to ask? Yeah, so we got the rebuttal time. Do you have anything else to say? No? Okay, thank you. So now, can I get, the public hearing is closed, and now can I get a motion to approve? We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Condon, and we have a second by Commissioner Rem. Commissioner Condon, will you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I would like to move to approve case 2016-0005, major site plan review for Gladys Woods Elementary School renewal with conditions. Staff conditions 1 through 5, deleting condition 6, and continuing with condition 7 and condition 8 regarding snow removal issues.
Would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, I intend to support the motion. I believe that this is a needed improvement to a school that is very much in need of such attention. I think that what is being done is being done within fairly limited means. It would appear that the results of this project will improve the school, and we are aware that additional improvements could be made, but they are contingent upon financial feasibility.
Commissioner Rem, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I intend to support the motion. I would like to clarify the conditions of approval. So we would like to approve the case with conditions 1 and 2 as written. Condition 3A, we would add to the beginning of the statement, if financially feasible, a sidewalk meeting MOA standards should be installed. For condition number 5, it should read, provide L2 landscaping along the east property line adjacent to the classroom additions. And I will try to restate condition number 8, which is to submit Actually, I'm going back to condition number 7. My apologies. My apologies. The last sentence reads the last sentence of condition 7 reads, drainage analysis and design shall conform to the Municipality of Anchorage Design Criteria Manual and Drainage Design Guidelines. And to clarify condition number 8, it should read, submit a statement indicating that the project will comply with Title 21.07.040F.3 Operational Standards.
Thank you. That was good.
One more thing, sorry to interrupt. Nicole, the deletion of condition 6.
Thank you. I think that Mr. Condon did.
He did, but since you restated it, I just wanted to make sure it was included.
Let's include the deletion of condition number 6. So close. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone, any additional discussion? No? We move into start voting. The case is, Nicole, are you missing voting? Yeah. The case is approved. Thank you very much. We have some 1% art. Sharon, would you like to talk to?
Yes, I'm sorry it wasn't included in your packet, but we didn't get it from the curator from art until we had already published and printed out the agenda. So since this, we didn't feel it needs to be added to the agenda because it's nothing the commission needs to make a decision about. It's just simply about, she is looking for if there are any volunteers who are interested in serving on any of those art juries. If so, let me know, and I will let Enzina know that tomorrow.
I just have a question. Like, what's the time commitment?
Ed went over that a couple of meetings.
When you're in Mexico?
Yeah. So what? Oh, you.
So
okay.
far, it's been really good. Menzina is really organized and spot on. I think I've had 3 meetings to date, and each meeting is between an hour and a half.
Are they in the mornings, in the evenings?
Typically, they're like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 4:30. They try to push it towards the end or right after school.
Yeah, and I don't think they go past maybe 5 meetings.
Yeah.
You should be able to wrap it up by in that number.
Okay, that sounds convincing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is actually a lot of fun. I've done it a couple of times myself.
Okay, well then sign me in.
Okay, which one would you like to be part of?
Which schools you have? Or no, it was the fire station.
I think they're listed on that piece of paper.
Rabbit Creek.
Okay, Rabbit Creek.
What's that?
I live there, I guess.
I was going to volunteer again as well,
Okay.
but I don't want to take it away from anybody else if they want to do it.
Well, maybe we'll let Melissa go. I think she's interested.
Sure.
I'd be happy to volunteer for whatever's left on the list.
There's-
There's so much.
You had
activity.
your opportunity to
There's-
get your pick.
There's 4 left.
I'll pick Gladys Wood since I know so much about it now.
Okay, Gladys Woods. Wood, okay. And Ed
Jernigan.
Jernigan.
Or actually, did anybody do Mountain View yet?
No.
I'll do Mountain View.
Instead of Jernigan,
Instead
or
of-
you're going to do
yeah,
both?
Instead of. Nice try.
Melissa, there's one left.
There should be 2 left.
No.
Oh, how many are in there? Okay, Ed. It is actually a lot of fun. Okay.
Jerry. Okay.
Okay, so you're going to do which one? There's 5, is that right? And so we've taken care of, so you have your choice of 2, apparently. Is that right?
Fire Station 41 or Jernigan Elementary.
Jernigan sounds like fun.
Jernigan. Yeah, I'll do
Okay.
I'm already in Rabbit Creek.
Okay, and then you're going to
That'd be
do turn
quick.
again.
Turn again.
And I think I would like to just welcome Melissa Morse in her first meeting. And I think I need a motion to adjourn the meeting. Well, yeah. So I get a motion by Nicole Rem and a second by Leonetti. Thank you.